He laughed. It came out like a broken gasp. Han Fei and the hunter crashed back into view in the same moment, both of them skidding in sprays of dirt and cold light. Han's sleeve was torn and bleeding at the shoulder. The hunter's right arm hung at an unnatural angle, sparking through the cracks in its black surface. Its mask flickered between smooth gloss and raw static. Script spilled from the edges and evaporated midair like burned paper. Han staggered back across the copper line and planted himself in front of Zeng, sword still up, chest heaving. "Tell me," he panted without looking back, eyes locked on the hunter, "that we're not in the kill zone anymore." Zeng swallowed. He reached out, instinctively, desperately, for the tether. The tether answered, alive, taut. And behind it, nothing. No hum of incoming rollback. No impatient pressure. The patch was still pushing. He could feel that. The hunter was still here. The seam was still open above them, a wound in the sky. But Tianling, the entire tight humming ball of 62 signatures, the bell tower, the rope lines, the rice paddies, the carved stones, everything, was no longer sitting on the coordinates the patch was trying to repaint. He felt it like release. "We're out," he whispered. Han laughed, pure and fierce. "Oh, you beautiful criminal," he breathed. Across from them, just outside the shimmering boundary, the hunter straightened. Its mask flickered, stabilizing to black glass. The script slowed. When it spoke again, its voice was altered. Quieter. Tighter. Behind it, Zeng could hear another thread, the patch, trying to recalculate. "Unauthorized relocation acknowledged," the hunter said. Han smirked. "Yeah," he said. "That's what we call winning." The hunter tilted its head, like a bird considering its next peck. Then, to Zeng's shock, it stepped back. Not far. Not retreat. But a fraction of a step. "As of current cycle," it said, and this time its tone carried something Zeng had never once heard from any patch process. "Irritation, asset cluster formerly designated Tianling 87 is now unregistered." Han's eyes flicked to Zeng. Zeng's heart hammered. "Say that again," he whispered. The hunter's mask tilted as if it found repeating things beneath its dignity. "Unregistered," it said. "Not ours." Zeng felt his breath catch. "Not ours. Not theirs. Not heaven's." The village wasn't in the Corps' ledger anymore. The patch didn't know where to file them. He had ripped Tianling out of heaven's ownership. He'd taken a village, and on a systemic level, he had stolen it. He started laughing. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't sane. It was huge and shaky and almost hysterical. He bent double with it, one hand braced on his knee, the other clutching at Bite, who was making an extremely offended noise about being jostled during a moment of cosmic transgression. Han grinned without looking away from the hunter. "That," he said, "is the sound of revolution." Yun stumbled into the square, face flushed, hair half fallen from its tie, satchel still clutched to her chest. She looked around wildly, scanning, checking, counting. Is everyone here? Is everyone alive? Is anyone missing? Before her gaze locked on Zeng. Her eyes went wide. Wet. She ran to him, grabbed his robe, and dragged him down into a fierce hug, forehead pressed to his collarbone. "You did it," she whispered, voice shaking so hard the words tripped over themselves. You did it, you crazy, stupid, terrifying man, you actually did it." Zeng wrapped one shaking arm around her shoulders and held on like a drowning man grabbing a line. Madame Shen walked into the center of the square like a woman arriving to collect on a debt. She didn't tremble. She didn't wobble. She just looked at the hunter standing at the edge of her village and lifted her chin a fraction of an inch. "You cannot have us," she said. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The hunter turned its featureless mask toward her. For a moment, it just looked. Then, with mechanical precision, it inclined its head. "Temporarily acknowledged," it said. "Temporarily," Han muttered under his breath. The hunter ignored him. Its head tilted back, as if listening farther out. White script crawled across its mask one final time, then snapped off. "This node is now unobserved," it said. "Escalation deferred." And then, just like the first hunter in the archive, it was gone. No flash. No sound. One frame it existed, full of tension and threat. The next, the air where it had been was simply empty. For a long moment, nobody in Tianling moved. The bell tower creaked. A chicken clucked, confused, then resumed being annoyed. Wind moved through the rice with a whispering hiss. Then, slowly, like rain starting at the edges and rolling inward, sound returned to the square. A single, disbelieving laugh from someone near the rope line. A sob from somewhere else, relief so sharp it broke on the way out, turning to shaking laughter partway through. A high-pitched shriek from a little kid that was technically fear but sounded suspiciously like triumph. And then everyone was talking at once. We moved. Still here. Still here. Did you feel it under your feet? I almost threw up. Lao, are you okay? Lao, talk to me. Xinyi's pot fell. Someone pick up the pot. Is everyone alive? Yun yelled over the chaos, voice cracked like a bell. A chorus answered her. Yes. Yes. Yes, healer. Ow. Mostly. Yes, Annie Chen. Then drink water, she snapped, wiping at her eyes with the back of her wrist. Everyone sit down if you're dizzy, we're boiling more, don't you dare faint in my square, I am too tired to catch you and I will let you fall. Han slid his sword back into its sheath with a smooth motion and finally let his shoulders drop. The patch bought that? He said, almost to himself. It actually bought that. Oh, we're going to have so much fun. Zeng was still holding Yun. Or she was holding him. Maybe both. His whole body felt like someone had poured fire into his veins, burned out every nerve, then left the shell humming with leftover charge. He couldn't tell where he ended and Tianling began anymore. His awareness of the tether was still there, humming, taut, but it felt different now. Not like a rope. More like a thread twined together. Not just me holding them. Us holding each other. He swallowed. Yun lifted her head, wiped her face again, then looked at him so directly that it felt like standing in front of an open door in winter wind. You, she said hoarsely. You are not allowed to die. Everyone in this village keeps telling me that, he managed. Then listen, she snapped. He smiled. Her mouth twitched. You're shaking, she whispered. I just carried a whole village across a physics scene, he whispered back. I'm entitled. Her eyes went wide for half a second, a tiny mix of horror and wonder before her expression snapped back to practical. Sit, she said. If you fall on the ground I will personally drag you to bed and staple you to it. Staple? He croaked. Yes, she said. With nails. Okay, he said weakly. Madame Shen looked at Han. We are safe, she said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement, a demand for confirmation layered on top of an expectation that he would not dare say otherwise. Han lifted one eyebrow. Temporarily, he said. Shen Wuqin's nostrils flared. Define temporarily. Han looked up at the sky. The seam was still there, like a wound that hadn't been sutured. The patch hadn't retreated completely. It had just paused, like it was thinking. Hours, Han said honestly. Shen inhaled once. Fine, she said, as if he'd said a month. We use them. She turned on the square. Tianling, she shouted. Inventory check. Count heads. Count pots. Count water skins. Count children. If your child is missing, shout now, no? Good. Pack everything tight. We leave when the sun touches that line. She pointed at the low ridge that wasn't the same ridge as before because they weren't in the same valley anymore and nobody batted an eye and not before. No one wanders beyond the rope. If you have to piss, piss in a jar. Qian, triage the dizzy ones. Liao, tie the chicken's legs together so they don't run off the edge of the world. Move. The square leapt into motion again, like a machine that had been wound too tight and now had somewhere to spend the energy. Han watched her, impressed. I love her, he muttered reverently. Don't, Zeng said, voice muffled against Yun's shoulder. Han grinned, then sobered. All right, he said quietly, stepping closer. Listen up, hero. Zeng groaned. Don't call me that. Shut up, Han said fondly. We're not done. We're out of the kill zone, but unregistered doesn't mean invisible. The patch is recalibrating right now and it's not going to stay confused forever. When it realizes Tianling went off ledger, it's going to start treating you as contraband. Zeng blinked. Contraband. Han's grin flashed. Welcome to smuggling. Zeng let out a laugh that almost tipped into hysteria again. Sure, he said. Fine. Why not? Heaven hates me, the core is in pain, I'm contraband. Normal day. Han nodded. So, next steps. Zeng swallowed. Tell me. Han lifted a hand and began ticking them off on his fingers. 1. We keep the perimeter hot. Nobody breaks the line. Anyone who crosses out comes back in immediately. If someone faints or starts talking in a voice that doesn't sound like theirs, you tell Yun and you tell me. That's how hunters slip hooks in. Yun's jaw clenched. Understood. 2. Han continued, we wait for night. Night makes us safe? Yun asked. Han grinned without humor. Night makes us harder to track. The patch visualizes movement in clean light. It doesn't like noise. Darkness is noise. Interference. It'll slow response. Gives us our window. Window to what? Zeng said. Han's smile came back, sharper than a blade. Extraction. Zeng stared. Han. We just moved a village. Han clapped him on the shoulder. And now we're going to walk it. Zeng opened his mouth. Closed it. Rubbed his forehead. Of course we are, he whispered. Where are we walking it? Yun asked. Han's expression flicked, for the first time since Zeng had met him, from amused confidence to something very close to reverence. To the Sky Market, he said. Yun blinked. The what? Zeng let out a breath. Floating city, he said softly. Broken marketplace between worlds. Smugglers, exiles, patchwork souls that heaven couldn't scrub. People who remember. Yun stared. That's real? Zeng smiled tiredly. Very. Han jerked his chin. Archivist is waiting there. She's already prepping anchor pylons and memory scaffolds. She'll lock Tianling down the moment we arrive. After that? He exhaled. The patch will have to tear the entire Sky Market out of the air to get you. Which would mean open war with basically everyone up there. Yun blinked. Open. War with heaven. Han's grin went crooked. Yun considered that, then nodded once, firm. Good, she said. Han actually laughed. Zeng let himself sink down onto the overturned basket again, more collapsing than sitting. Bite reclaimed his lap, coiling there with smug certainty. Yun stayed standing beside him, one hand still gripping the fabric of his sleeve like she wasn't willing to let him drift more than half an arm's length away. Something loosened in his chest. He tipped his head back and looked up. The seam in the sky pulsed again. But this time, something was different about it. Before, the light dropping from the seam had been uniform, clean, clinical, like poured bleach. Now it flickered. Here and there the white striping of rollback light had dark bruises, slow distortions. Not errors exactly. Not damage. Stutters. Like static. He felt the core there, behind it, frantic, pained, angry. He felt the patch, colder, narrower, insistent. And between them, a third pressure. Something watching. Not trying to erase him. Not trying to claim him. Just observing. He exhaled. Then he leaned forward, elbows braced on his knees, voice so low only Han and Yun and Bite could hear. Okay, he whispered. Here's the real of it. They both leaned in. I talked to her, he said softly. Inside. In the core. I saw her. Yun frowned. Her? Shu Ling, he whispered. Han's head snapped toward him. His eyes sharpened. The archivist. No, Zeng said. His throat ached. He swallowed. Not the archivist. Ling Ling. My co-dev. He stopped. He didn't know what word to use there. Partner? Friend? Ghost? Whole other life? Yun's eyes softened instantly. The woman whose voice you call in your sleep, she said quietly. He blinked. I do that? Yes, she said. Han hid a smile behind one hand. Zeng cleared his throat. She's alive in there, he whispered. Or, more than memory, less than alive. She's in the core. She can talk. The core hates that. The patch hates it more. But she's in there. And she called me an idiot, which is definitely her, and she said we have a day. Yun's grip on his sleeve tightened. And she said, he added softly, they're not going to let us do this twice. Han whistled through his teeth. Ah. Meaning? Yun asked. Meaning, Han said, this trick only works once. Next time they'll hit us with force instead of procedure. Next time they'll try to burn us out instead of politely asking for compliance. Yun nodded once, face hard. Then we don't give them next time. Zeng let out a shaky breath. You make that sound so simple. It is simple, Yun said. We live. Han laughed, delighted. Zeng leaned back again. His entire body hummed from the inside with aftershock. His mind felt like it had been poured out, reloaded, and then wrapped too tight in living wire. But under all that, under the pain and the exhaustion and the bright ringing terror, something else had taken root in him. Not calm. Not confidence. Not safety. Conviction. I did this, he thought, a little dazed, looking across Tianling Village, which was no longer where Tianling Village had always been. I did the impossible thing, and it worked. We stole a village. We stole it from heaven. And heaven knows it. Okay, he whispered, mostly to himself. Okay. We're still in the game. Han snorted. Game, he echoed. Cute word. I like it. Yun finally let go of his sleeve. Only to swat him once, lightly, in the chest. Don't collapse, she said. I'll try, he said. Don't die, she added. I'll really try, he said. And eat more, she said. You look like paper. Yes, healer, he said. She sniffed, satisfied, and stalked off to yell hydration orders at villagers twice her age. Han watched her go, then leaned in and dropped his voice. One more thing. Zeng closed his eyes. Oh good. More. Han's tone shifted, lower, more serious. This Shu Ling of yours, he said quietly. The one in the core. Zeng opened his eyes. Han's expression had gone unusually neutral. Don't lose yourself in chasing her, he said. Zeng frowned. What? I'm not saying leave her, Han said. I'm saying, don't make her the only reason you're still here. Zeng stared at him. She's alive in there, she's something in there, Han said evenly. Good. Great. Useful. Sacred, maybe. I respect all of that. But listen to me, anomaly, if you stake your will to survive on one ghost in a machine, and the patch deletes that ghost tomorrow, what then? Zeng swallowed. Han held his gaze. You need more than revenge, he said softly. You need more than guilt. You need more than her. You need something in this world that's yours. Zeng didn't answer. Because he didn't know how to. Han clapped him, gentle for once, on the shoulder. Figure that out, he said. Fast. Then, brisk again, almost cheerful, now stay conscious, drink water, and try not to pass out before midnight. You collapse and I'm going to have to carry both you and an illegally liberated village through unstable coordinates while heaven's trying to record my face, and that's going to do damage to my brand. Zeng snorted. Your brand. I have standards, Han said. Bite made a small, decisive chirp that sounded a lot like, he does. The sun had already started its slide. It wasn't the same sun he remembered from the valley. The light here, in the unstable layer, carried a slightly different tint, a faint overcast shimmer, like the whole place sat under a thin veil of system fog. Shadows fell in the wrong direction. The air had a metallic edge to it, a background hum. Somewhere out past the new ridge, the world dissolved into pale white haze that looked less like mist and more like unfinished geometry waiting for someone to tell it what to be. Above them, the fracture in the sky lingered. Watching. Waiting. Thinking. For now, it didn't strike. Tianling was off the board. Alive. Unregistered. Stolen. Zeng let himself breathe. Just once. Just long enough to feel the weight in his shoulders ease a fraction. Just long enough to feel Bite's fur against his palms and hear Yun shouting, "Don't you dare faint on me, I swear I will throw water on your face at some poor farmer," and hear Madame Shen say, "If you try to bring that broken stool I will personally break you," and hear Han Fei humming under his breath as he rewrapped the grip of his sword with a torn strip of his own sleeve. Just long enough to feel, for the first time since he woke in this patched world, that what they were doing wasn't just survival, it was defiance. Then he opened his eyes again. Okay, he whispered, voice steadying. He looked up at the wound in the sky. You hear me? He said, almost conversational. You watching? Good. Watch close. His smile went small and dangerous. Because this, he said softly, was us being polite. Night was coming. And when night came, they were going to walk an entire village through the broken veins of heaven.